Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends. And indeed, folks, I did bring a lot of friends with me today. We have an amazing show, 2 topics, 2 hours of Xbox and PlayStation talk that you can't find anywhere else on Wednesday evenings. We have a couple of guests. We have a couple of the panel members who are out due to work scheduling. Mag will be back next week. Everborn Saga is preparing for a trip, and of course, Dutch couldn't make it this week. So, in his place, as always, Crispy Bomb saw the bat signal, and he is here. Crispy, how the heck are you, man? Welcome.
Oh, it's good to be here. We got some fire topics to bring to y'all, and enjoy what you hear because it's gonna be spicy as usual.
Oh yeah, there might be a little bit of a side of slander this evening, so folks get ready. And making his return, hasn't been here in a minute. John Wolf, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
What's up, Boom? Chad, I hope everybody's having a good day and a good night. Yeah, we're going to be talking about some spicy topics here. Might whip out that Latino heat. So it's definitely going to be good. Asante knows about that, about that Latino heat. So, yeah, guys, looking
you guys
forward
have
to
a show
it.
on Monday that you guys are constantly going back and forth. And I would expect no less. Asante, you've been busy as all heck. How the heck are you? And welcome.
It's been a busy couple of weeks for me, man. But no, I'm here. I'm happy to be here talking gaming with my favorite people. I'm a little. If the energy level's a little low, it's because the non-gaming world has been beating me into submission. But I'm here, and I'm looking forward to it. As has been said, there's some great things to discuss. It's gonna be quite interesting today. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into it. And obviously, there are a lot of tech-minded individuals here. Hargeet Chiny being one of them. How you doing, Hargeet? PlayStation streaming in 4K, and that's the articles we're seeing. Certainly, Xbox has not hit that high mark as of yet. And it's funny how they were opposed to streaming and cloud. And look at that, Sony is out there letting you play some really heavy hitters in 4K.
Yeah, good for them, right? That's what competition does, right? You get pushed, you have to do stuff, right? So,
yes,
this is a good show for them. I mean, I think Nvidia's been doing 4K too, right? They still do it. They're doing 4K.
Nvidia's been doing 4K. Stadia did 4K. Well,
Yep.
Stadia did that YouTube 4K, which is that compressed stuff, but it still looks,
Yeah. So what the heck, and Microsoft's a little behind on that, right? But look, they need to get stabilized. They've been having queue issues, right? So that's the way it is, right? So they chose a certain path, and the other side chose a different path. So things can ebb and flow, and we'll see where the market goes, right? Instead of this like narrative of Xbox will own cloud gaming and it will all be over. It's like, okay, come on, whatever.
and there you go. No, I mean it's a fantastic point because it really was a driving force for the FTC, and clearly it was a driving force with the CMA, who used it as a crutch to block, and now they had to retract most of their statements, and obviously keep. And speaking of the CMA, you can expect by week's end we'll have a decision, and I believe by next week there'll be a signed deal with the CMA, and then obviously again, you say
there's another one waiting in the wings. We see some Square Enix market caps going down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Square Enix is in a bit of a pickle, and I got to be honest with you, it's not on the docket to talk, but I have to say this, being that Hargeet graciously mentioned it. Right now, currently, Xbox is the king of Western RPGs. Now, take nothing away from CD Projekt Red. They're phenomenal.
Or Larian. Let's just put that out there.
Well,
Larian.
See, that's the other thing. Larian is seeing some unbelievable success. Again, I tweeted about it today. I'm not playing Baldur's Gate 3. It's not a game for me, folks. I don't really like CRPGs. But folks, they hit a 97 meta. They dethroned Tears of the Kingdom. It's one of the highest meta scores in a very long time, and this is from a very small team that was given this license. And listen, let's not make a mistake here. Larian, they're no stranger to success or high mark games. I mean, their last one was a 92 meta, and I believe it was 91 for the one before that. So they're no stranger to success. This is great. This is wonderful to see a small team just envelop the conversation of gaming. It's phenomenal to see. But what I want to talk about, what I want to open up with is something that I really thought was going one way, and it went. Thankfully, a lot of people in the community were like, "Hey, Boom, no, there's a reason for it." And what am I talking about? Well, Red Dead Redemption 1, obviously, it is a classic, right? It has it. I mean, I've beaten it twice myself. It's a marvel of a game. There's no doubt about it. Didn't care for 2 as much as I enjoyed 1, but that's, I guess, personal choice. And it turns out that the remastered rumor, well, part of it was true, Hargeet, because we are seeing that, yes, it is a port, but it is a very, very poor port because, and who's getting it? Well, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, as well as the Switch. And when I first saw this, I said, you have got to be freaking kidding me that they skipped the Xbox. But thankfully, people pulled me off the edge and said, Boom, don't jump, sir. I'm here for you. And they pulled me in off the window ledge. And it turns out, and I forgot this, Hargeet, that in June of 2016, for Games with Gold, when it was good.
Repeat that year? Repeat that year?
That would be June of 2016.
Oh, okay, I couldn't hear. Okay.
Yes.
2016.
That means it was 7 years ago. Xbox players got Red Dead Redemption through Back-Compat for the price of free.
Yep.
It turns out that right now it is the best version running. You can run it on your Series X. It looks absolutely fantastic. And if you downloaded it in 2016, go to your console and download it now and get in on the conversation and start playing if you want to run through it again. Because the CEO of Take-Two was out on these Twitter streets defending the price tag of $50 that they're charging $50 for a port, but it's not even just like a port that's good. It's Grand Theft Auto Trilogy bad. Like it's gonna be bad. And he is out there defending the price. He said that the game is worth the $50. And Xbox gamers, if you are a part of Gold and you were a part of Gold all those years ago and you downloaded it, you can go right to your console right now and download it. Or if you want the Game of the Year edition right now, you can go to Amazon.com. And I'm not an affiliate, folks, so I'm not getting a dime for this. I'm only giving you my public service message. You can get the Game of the Year edition that comes with Undead Nightmare as well as the first game for $28 brand new. So if you don't have it and you want to get in on the conversation, go to Amazon, tell them Boom sent you. Maybe I'll be an affiliate one day and get some bucks on the back end and pick it up for $28. So this is, I mean, listen, obviously, finally, Hargeet, Xbox gets the W here. But I do want to transition this conversation, and I really want the chat to get involved with this. ABK is going to be closing in a matter of weeks. And we know that they're going to have a ton of games that are going to fall into Xbox Game Pass. Now, we do know that the backwards compatible team, well, they don't exist anymore. And if they do there, it's like a skeleton crew. Would you like to see them come back to kind of address a lot of the ABK stuff that's going to be coming in?
Yeah, so my assumption is that they are in fact going to do that, right? Because they probably had some licensing issues And
Yes.
part of them were probably things like, I don't know if those Transformers games ever made it, but you know, Hasbro came out and said, hey, they want to do that. Hasbro, right? I think that was the company.
Yeah, it was Hasbro, correct.
Said, hey, we would like to do that. And, you know, that is a potential for them to sign a multi-year, maybe 10-year deal to say, hey, we're going to put this on Game Pass. You know, that, you know, takes away that licensing issue, assuming there's no tech issue that would prevent it from coming over, right? So, you know, they basically came out and said, you know, we've gotten to the limits of what either the tech can do or the licensing headaches that we have. And ABK would be one of those. Just owning whatever their catalog is would take away the licensing headache, right? Because now Activision can't say no, right? And then the other side of it is the licensed game. So if Hasbro says, yeah, we want to make a deal, and Microsoft's willing to put up the money for it, we could suddenly see those games come in, right? They have a bunch of Marvel games too, so be interesting to see if there's some deal they can work there. Disney isn't exactly doing that well financially either, and they may want to, you know, check and say, okay, well, for some amount of money, hey, we'll allow you to put this in Game Pass for you know, a number of years, and we'll just take an annual re-up every year of X amount of dollars, right? So you know, this just could be very cool, right? A whole bunch of these games, the licensing part of it could not be an issue in a month or two, whenever this finalizes. So we might start getting a bunch of these games. That'd be awesome. That'd be pretty cool. So again, it's assuming the tech part of it isn't an issue, right? They've already gotten past that. The next part of it was these licensing issues. So hopefully with the broad catalog that comes with ABK, they can start putting that in. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be. Like I said, a couple of years ago, Hargeet, one of the Transformer games, I believe it was the second one, they released a port of it, and I bought it, and I recorded some footage of it. I'd love to see those games get some TLC, and then of course I'd love nothing more than them to release them, get a lot of traction from the fans, and maybe, just maybe, Moon Studios, High Moon Studios would be able to, who Microsoft is going to own. Maybe they may again, we don't know if they had been working on one and they were like, okay, we're going to stop. You guys go to work on Call of Duty. Maybe they were working on one, because Hasbro also said that they would like them to make a new Transformers game. Now, there is one that's currently in development, but it's not by High Moon Studios. It would be pretty good to bring that, because I don't know if you played them. They were phenomenal games.
Yeah, I finished, I believe, all of them. So I've played them. I like them. But yeah, hopefully other people who have never had a chance, right? This is the beauty of like the gaming world, right? Is just like movies. There are people coming in, like, you know, new people coming into the gaming world, right? Kids coming in, and they've never experienced these things. Suddenly they can, right? It's an interesting thing to have with the Game Pass or something equivalent, where you can, you know, we might not care. Hey, I finished that game. But there are all these other millions, if not billions, of gamers who have not, and they suddenly now have access to be able to play those things. So yeah, it'd be kind of cool. But I did play those. They were pretty cool. I liked. I don't remember one of them not being as good as the others, but maybe it was the last one.
I think it was the third one, the Dark something or other. It wasn't that good.
It wasn't as good, but the other ones were really good. So, but yeah. So again, if they can come in, that'd be awesome. And as far as the Back-Compat team, I think they, beyond these things where they may buy a publisher, get the rights to those games, and suddenly the licensing headache goes away, I don't know if they have much left to be able to do. What they basically were saying was, tech wise, we've done all we can, right? So outside of, say, getting a different emulator, they're probably at the peak as far as what they're going to be able to bring in outside of licensing arrangements. So
right. But Hargeet, I got something else. So I think where Xbox can leverage, because you're at the right frame of mind, but what they can leverage as well as like they're doing with Call of Duty, bringing up those servers again, those War for Cybertron games, they had great multiplayer. You know, they were third person, kind of like Gears-ish.
Red Dead's still running multiplayer.
Yeah. So that's something that
to the PlayStation.
Right. So that's something, if Xbox is smart, right, and they really leverage what they're doing with these Back-Compat titles, they can say, hey, remember these great multiplayer games I used to love? Well, we're the only place where we have these servers open at the moment. That's what I would do.
While you're right about that, John, I would say that would, and we already have word from Hasbro, it would require their approval first, right? In the case of COD, they kind of all but own COD now, so they can just turn them servers on. It is what it is. in the case of Hasbro, you know, and you've already heard them telegraph, hey, we want this thing back on the services. We want new versions. So yeah, I suspect you're onto something with that one, sir. You will most likely see some multiplayer servers be turned on because the owner of the IP has already telegraphed that that's what they want. So, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know what, John? Let's bring you into the conversation because we're waiting for Crispy Bomb to return, so we'll get to him momentarily.
Sure.
The Back-Compat team is something, you know, Mr. Stein, obviously, if you don't know him, he's a big part of Xbox. He's always out there tweeting. He said, I think something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing here, reason 1,289 of that Back-Compat is great to have. And obviously, we're talking about Red Dead Redemption being a game that you can play in 4K. That looks really good, that runs really well. Unfortunately, you can't get that, you know, unless you buy a $50 version, which is not going to run that good. It's going to be a very poor rendition. And we have that because of the investment that Microsoft, specifically Xbox, made into this backwards compatibility team that put out a ton of amazing work. Now, ABK is on the cusp of being done, and their catalog is phenomenal. I mean, who would not want to play Prototype, the first one, 4K 60?
Right.
And again, I don't know if it's possible. I don't develop games, so I'm only guessing here. But if the Back-Compat team were to be reformed or, you know, get the gang back together, I think that they have an opportunity because these games are going to come to Game Pass. And, you know, as we know, even PlayStation players play old games.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll kind of tell you that they don't, but they're only lying to themselves. So this is, you know, let me first address the Red Dead Redemption port news. When I saw the tweet went out, you know, by Rockstar, the first thing I thought to myself was, bruh, this ain't it. Okay, this ain't it. I mean, this is lazy beyond all measures. Okay, like,
yeah, it's lazy port.
I was like, are you kidding me right now? And where I really I didn't even think about the Xbox portion of it because I kind of knew in the back of my mind because I played this sometime last year. I knew that it was bumped up to 4K during the Xbox One X enhanced days. So I was like, oh, okay. I mean, Xbox, they've already had, you know, the game's already been on their platform, kind of like a free remaster for some time. But here we go. I'm excited because for the first time ever, it's coming to PC. So I'm getting all excited about the possible mods, the 120 plus FPS support, even higher. You know, I'm thinking about all this stuff in my PC, you know, headspace now. And I see that they're like Strauss Zelnick, you know, all he cares about, obviously, it's okay. That's all he hears. Okay. Cha-ching. Every time somebody buys that game, that's all he's going to hear because it's the biggest rip I've ever seen. For $50, you're giving the Switch owners and you're giving PlayStation 4, I guess PlayStation 5 also through backwards compatibility, you're giving them the game that wasn't available on their platform. All right, good that you're doing that. But the way that you guys are going about it, I mean, I love Rockstar, but this is the one thing that is their Achilles heel. Okay, they are notorious for doing this type of stuff. Now, the game's going to sell like gangbusters. They know they can get away with it, which is the reason why they're doing it, right? But this is like why me and Kay, especially on our show on Mondays, why we're such advocates for game preservation and for emulation and stuff like that, because Red Dead, I can play Red Dead right now on my PC through emulation at 60 frames, no problem. Okay. And for Rockstar to take a back seat and who knows, maybe I don't want to jump the gun because the game might come like in 6 months to PC and then, you know, it'll be egg on my face. But the fact that they didn't bring out a PC release now to accompany the other two versions is so weird. And just the way that they're going about this is very weird and very lackluster. And I'm glad that they're kind of getting the backlash that they are. They deserve it. So that's what the Red Dead, part of the conversation. Now with the Back-Compat part of the conversation, Boom, this is one of the things that Phil, many gamers in the Xbox community, especially the circles that we run around, this is one of the reasons why we look to Phil and we're like, we believe in your vision and we believe in what you're doing for Xbox, right? Because he, as a gamer, understands the importance of bringing your library with you no matter what. And that's something that gamers are advocates for. We want all our stuff. We don't care if it's an old game. We don't care if it's a Nintendo game that we played when we were 4 years old. We want it. We want to play it because, it has that nostalgia to it. And just because, gaming, I've heard Everborn say this before, to his credit. Gaming is really like the only media form where games are just thrown to the side like if they're worthless. About 87% of games are not purchasable or playable, and in the current market that we live in, game preservation matters. And for me to go back, for example, and play these War for Cybertron games, I have to get creative on the PC space because they're not available anymore. I can't log on to Xbox and buy them, PlayStation, Switch, whatever. They're just not available, and it's all because of licensing mumbo jumbo that I really don't care about, but again, it gets, locked away, and then time forgets it. And that's not cool. So when Phil came out, why do you think that announcement of the backwards compatibility got such an ovation?
Dude, that was one of my favorite moments, like in the big shows. The fans erupted, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, because it's a big deal for gamers. We love our libraries. We love our Steam library, our Xbox library. Like, this is just common sense stuff when it comes to gaming, right? So that's why I'm a big advocate for it. I'm glad that Xbox and Phil understands the importance of it, and they invested so long ago so that they can have the leg up on, down the line with future consoles. When they reiterate, they can always have all of their backwards compatibility titles right there for you, right? Now, going forward with the Back-Compat team, I fully expect, Boom, that I guarantee you that Jason, Ronald, and team already know which games work, which games don't, what they can do, because I if I was in Jason Ronald's position, okay, and I know he'll never admit this, my Xbox Series X at home, it would play everything, because I'm sure his does. Okay, he just can't say that. But if I was on that team and I was a techie, I'll be like, hey, I was playing the Transformers last night. Oh, you were playing it through backward? No, I wasn't. I was playing on my 360. Obviously,
so John.
Yeah.
Let me add some actual fact to your hypotheses.
Go ahead.
The process of getting games in the Back-Compat process, and I've spoken to people who've been a part of it. You literally show up and Microsoft goes, "Hey, look, it's done. Do you authorize it?" They do all the legwork for you. The first time you see it working, it's on a phone in your hand, and you're like, "Wow, how did it get here?" Right? So I'm telling you, to your point about they know what they can do, they have a full, complete list on a server ready to hit go. All
Absolutely.
they need is authorization.
I agree 100%. They already know. They already know if Singularity can do 4K 60, if they can bump up all these Call of Duties. They already know all that stuff. It's just a matter of the deal going through. That's all that we need now. And thanks to the CMA and the clown show known as, Lena Khan and the circus, we have to wait a little bit longer, right? But thankfully, this thing's coming to a head. Should be soon. We should hear soon. Now, do I expect them, if they can bump up all these older Call of Duty titles, which I've been playing a ton of, Boom. All right. I've been playing Black Ops 2. Every single night I jump on a different Call of Duty, and it's so good to relive these games, man, because I literally lived inside these games for years and years and years. And it's so good hearing, the Black Ops menu music. Oh man, when I heard that back, a few weeks ago, I was so hyped. And those are the moments that gamers appreciate. And that's something that Xbox needs to leverage. If you guys are listening to this show, leverage what you have right now, because this is gold right here for gamers. Game preservation, giving us what, the old games that we love, up-res and stuff like that. That's what's going to bring in the hardcore, quote unquote, right? That's what's going to get the hardcore excited about your ecosystem. So yeah, expect it, Boom. And whatever they can do and they can get back running through, licensing mumbo jumbo and technicalities, I expect huge pause throughout the rest of the year, so that they can get all of their all of their Call of Duty stuff. And if they don't do it by the end, of the year, again, like, that's why sometimes we have to hold the fire to these people, because
100%,
there's no
absolutely.
reason why this should not be a thing.
Yeah, and currently the Call of Duties are not FPS boosted, right?
No,
They're
they
not.
run 60.
They run 60 anyway. Yeah,
But
they already run 60.
Which
but
is
some
fantastic.
but some like Modern Warfare 2, the OG Modern Warfare 2, it's sub 720 subpar. So the resolution's horrible, but dude, the gameplay is top notch. I mean, it's Call of Duty, right? So if they can give these games a boost, Hargeet, Xbox all of a sudden has something that they can claim as exclusive Call of Duty content without having to sign any new contracts, without getting in trouble with the CMA and all these people. Just like that, overnight, they can have brand new 4K Call of Duty titles.
Yeah, so if they had to update it to make that work, that'd be interesting, right? Because there's nothing stopping them from saying, you know what, we'll update these old games, sort of port them to be more compatible on the Series S and X, give you 120 FPS, make it 1440 and 4K, right? They could easily do that, but the problem is they would have to put it on PlayStation as well.
No, but hold on.
They
Let me
would.
push back.
New releases.
Let me push back.
Existing games.
Well, see,
right?
that's
No,
the thing.
no.
It's not. It wouldn't be a new release. All
Exactly.
you need to do is go into the
Could they
Back-Compat.
not-
Now let's speak. Let's speak some technical terms here.
Yep.
Just like they've done before. Go into Back-Compat, mess with the hypervisor.
If it's not
go
viable.
4K 60.
If
If it's
not
viable. Yeah.
right? And
Well,
that's
If it's not viable, then they'd have to code upgrade.
then
Yes,
they'd have
Right.
to code
They'd
update.
have
And
to
if they
do-
have to code update, then they would have to
Then
release
can
it.
they
Then they have
do
to do it on the console.
just what GTA just did, with Red Dead just did. Could
Yep.
they not do
Yeah,
that?
but then that would require cost, right? Xbox does it for free because they can just do it at the hypervisor level, and then they don't have to touch code. But if
if they
did
own the
touch code,
IP,
they would
if
have
they
to pay.
own the I'm gonna interject real quick. If they own the IP, Sony gives up the marketing rights. What leg do they have to stand on?
Well,
to,
it's because they've spoken. It's because they've
Yeah,
said it
it's
in
more they've
public in the
created
CMA.
deals.
before.
The only reason why I
They're
say
gonna
this
put
is
it out
because the
there.
PlayStation 3 era is one of those eras where they can't do it. They've already said they can't do it. They
Yeah,
literally use
I would
cloud.
stay away.
Well,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree. For something like
so
this,
to
if they
Hargeet's
could do it
point.
back to back, absolutely.
yes, but they can't do it
do
to a
it
new
that
SKU.
way. But if they
Yes.
create a new SKU, they're gonna put it
Yes.
on PlayStation.
New
No.
because of the
SKU equals
optics.
They
everywhere.
would sell it. That,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay,
that's what I'm saying,
the
Boom.
difference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm okay. So there's two sides so that we can bring it all together back. Okay, let's circle back. What I was referring to, Hargeet, which you are correct. Everyone on the panel is correct in their own way. What I was specifically referring to for them to have Call of Duty exclusive content is for them to leverage the what's the name? The Haichi method through the
Yeah.
Xbox 360 title. Okay,
Yeah.
that way, if they up-res it to 4K or
Yep. The
1440p,
auto-upres, yep.
and PlayStation and Jimmy, they start crying with their
No
panties.
code
in a
touching,
bunch.
nothing. Same thing you own just works better now. That's
Right.
what they're gonna
Yeah.
Exactly. And then Xbox can say, hey, Jimmy, we'll give you the same treatment. Oh, that's right. You don't have an emulator for PS3. Sorry, we can't.
Yep.
Oh,
Just like
and
that.
real
What I'm
quick, a
saying.
quick side note to the conversation about Red Dead Redemption. I was doing a little bit of digging. You can actually do 4K 60 on Series X.
Yes, you can. Yeah, I see.
Through
I could
emulation.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
you
I
have
mean,
to use the
emulation.
Xenia
You
Oh,
have to
okay.
use the Xenia emulator on the
which
three
is
on
a
the
dev
Xbox.
mode
Yeah,
emulator. Yeah, it's an external
That's right.
emulator.
Then it can do 4K 60. Right now, it just
Yeah.
does 4K 30
and
because
it
they
has
blocked it to
FSR
30.
built into it. So
Yeah,
it'll
it does.
up-res
Yes.
a bit
Yeah.
more. But yeah, but unfortunately, that's not native. So
It's not native,
The normal
yes,
folks,
yes.
if you just buy the 360 version,
Yeah.
you're not getting.
But the
60
fact that it
FPS.
is 4K 60 means it's easily 4K 60 capable. They've just locked it to 30. you know.
Yeah.
Which proves my
It is what
point
it is.
even more when I said with the bro, dude, 2K lazy.
He sneaks that on you all the time.
Dude,
I don't.
lazy,
It comes out of nowhere.
lazy MFers. I'm sorry, no
Yeah.
excuse.
Well,
I mean, even
you
if
know
they
what?
just did like a unlocked frame rate thing, right? Then at least you'd
yeah.
get those. But yeah, that's just unfortunate.
By the way, folks, as you can see, there's more footage of Dead Island 2. All I'm saying is that if you're not playing this game, get to it before Starfield. I'm ready to beat
It's
it.
so good.
It's going to be
That
in my top
flesh
10 of the
system,
year.
sir. Oh my goodness, the flesh
It's
system.
just-
Oh boy.
Pause.
I feel like I need to say that every time. I'm sorry.
Have you guys played
The flesh
Dying Light
system.
though?
What?
Oh yeah.
Have you guys?
Mhm. Dying Light.
I finished.
I'm telling you, this looks exactly like Dying Light.
It's
No, it
Yeah.
does.
It's got
Yeah.
a lot of Dying
Dying
Light
Light-
style, but the
Dying
flesh
Light
system
added
and
the
some of the
flesh system
systems
stuff.
there.
Yeah.
It's
Can I say one more thing? Can I say one more
sure,
thing,
yeah,
Boom,
absolutely,
about the
yeah,
Call
yeah.
of Duty thing? Because I mean, I'm telling you, I was so excited about about them bringing back the servers for this stuff that I know on one of your earlier shows, Mag touched upon the fact that it would be awesome for Xbox to leverage Call of Duty and create like a Master Chief like collection. Well,
Yes.
guys, here's a little pro tip. Okay, quick resume. Okay, literally, I was jumping from Call of Duty to Call of Duty using quick resume, and within seconds I was already
Yeah.
in the other game. So
Oh,
yeah,
you
even
would stitch a menu together and they'd have a collection in like seconds.
yep.
Yeah.
So even if they can't
front end.
That's probably
technically,
the way to do it, right? To not
Yep.
have to deal, because there's two problems with a
Mhm.
Master Chief Collection equivalent. Call of Duty
Yeah.
games are big, so
Yeah.
the
And
more
yeah.
you add, you need a lot of hard drive to install all of
Yeah.
that, right? So you could just say I have a launcher that lets you play the ones you want. I'll install
Mhm.
these 5, and those are the
Yep.
ones I want to play, right? Instead of saying I need to have all 20 years worth of Call of
yeah,
Duties.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It
that's
is
just a
gonna-
little pro tip.
Yeah, it is going to be pretty epic. Like, I get it, folks. Like a lot of people will be like, yeah, boom, I already beat those Call of Duties. But you know what's crazy? Some of these Call of Duties, and John said it perfectly. And I want to bring in Crispy Bomb on the conversation. When they go, and I say Microsoft or specifically Xbox, and they put an advertisement or a flash screen on social media, all these Call of Duties, boom, drop. Could you imagine what that's going to do? I mean, listen, again, I know people are going to be buying the new one. They're playing a new one. They're playing Warzone. There's something about going back and playing some of these old games. And if they get boosted in any way, just, through backwards compatibility, it's going to be people are going to want to come back to Xbox. Old school Call of Duty players who do not like some of the direction or the decisions that were made for the new Call of Duty, and they're going to have the ability to play older Call of Duty, which they can't do on their PlayStation 5s or their PlayStation 4s. You're going to see are going to come back in a big way. I mean, obviously, we started talking about how terrible the excuse was. Now, you know what? Before let me read you what the Take-Two CEO had to say regarding the pushback from the fans about the $50 price point. And he says this, well, according to an article, and I pulled it from Dextro.com, it says Strauss dismissed the complaints from the community, defending that the decision to port to the game to the Switch and PlayStation 4 consoles. He also admittedly defends the pricing, saying that it's just what we believe is commercially accurate pricing for it. And he actually goes on to defend it even further by saying that that he highlights the fact that it's coming with the Undead Nightmare DLC as a bonus, saying that this bundle is certainly a great value for consumers. And we obviously know how that Grand Theft Auto trilogy went. It didn't go good. I have a feeling that this is probably going to look and run almost identical, if not as worse, maybe even actually worse. We don't know. We'll see. But let's keep the backwards compatibility team in the conversation. Do you want to see them come back?
You don't think they're there?
I mean,
there's something there.
they were disbanded.
There's something there. I mean, I got to play Gears 3 on dedicated servers like a month ago.
Yes,
So
that's true.
I don't know what, maybe this is where I go and say, like, I believe like the next purchases are going to be these support teams for UE, but also like these development teams that just can do anything. And I really think like it's just going to be called support, because at the end of the day, Microsoft was smart and they said, so what happens when we play a 360 title? It boots up to the 360 old school, and I still like, because I forgot it. It's been so many years. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I forgot how to invite friends. Gosh darn it. Like, you know what I mean? Because you can't just do it like we do now. And it makes me appreciate it more as well, what we have now. So I look at that and I say, well, how are we going about this? They are literally like segregating like these titles into the interface that is old, that we know, but we don't quite remember sometimes. Like you forget how easy it is now. It really is. Like invite friend, like we didn't have that before. They get to go through this menu, this menu, this menu, and then okay, now I can invite my friend on this specific game and this and that. And it's like, no, my friend's playing Gears or Halo or whatever. I'm gonna invite him, and that's all you do. Like it makes me appreciate that. But on top of it, I just want to put it into perspective, and this is how simplistic I am as a human being. I just watched somebody take a 360 Red Dead disc and just throw it in their Series X, and it worked.
Yeah, it
just
is
works, not
folks.
going to happen if you have that same disc from PlayStation.
No, it will not. That is confirmed.
Going to happen.
Yes.
This is where Strauss says, you know what? You guys charge for remasters, $50, $60, $70 at times. You charge for reports, like, Nintendo did it with the Wii U. Did they not? They did. So you look at these and you paid full price. Well, why can't we charge, $20 less than
soup for you
standard? I mean, Strauss probably looking at it like, look, this costs development. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, PlayStation 3, you could say what you want, but you ain't playing those games unless it's on the cloud or something like that, or you have the latency and all that stuff involved. Like, you can't just put your disc into your PS5. But we have 360 games, and I do too, that I could just put right in that freaking Series X. And
Strauss has he has to charge them more undershirt under his work shirt.
And
charge them more when
they run better. That is the craziest part. They run better than I've ever seen. And actually, it gets me involved for a period of time. This is where, like, I agree with you, John. Like, dude, like, you get the hardcore, the old school gamer. Like, look at the old school emulation that's come out lately. Nobody's talking about it, but I see so many people playing it. That's on Xbox only.
Yep.
These are little nuances that for somebody that's like 30 plus years old that has played in arcades and done all these things and paid money upon money. Yep. The one thing I say is, if it's a new console and has better hardware, internals, whatever you want to call it, how can it not play the old one? That makes zero sense. And it's called a damn money grab. And I give Strauss credit. By all means, get the money grab. Because you know what? He's not saying nothing about Xbox, and you can already play the game. So what's the problem? On your new console, by the way, because, it is more powerful. Think about that. So you're going to give that $50 if you want to play Red Dead? By all means, he doesn't care. He spent a lot of money trying to make it for the PS5, because guess what? He couldn't just port it over like he does on Xbox. And that's where it says development costs and everything else. You want to support the devs? Well, there you go. Pay the $50. He didn't charge you $70. He probably could have. He charged you $50. So it's a company they make money, they want to make money, and they see a problem. And maybe Sony will try to fix it. I mean, we're talking about the 4K on the cloud. Okay. It's time for some competition. And when it comes down to Call of Duty and everything else, they're going to be there. Trust me. And that's where I say, like, everybody's talking about the Back-Compat team ain't there. Maybe it's just kind of like spread out differently now. And it's like, isolated, and they do things and it's hush hush because it's not that meaningful in their eyes, but to us, it means something. And
Yeah.
prime example is what they did with Gears. Okay. And Gears 3, y'all could argue with me all you want. I played it dedicated servers, bro. And I haven't played that on dedicated servers since it came out. How many freaking years ago? Think about that.
It's a long time ago, dude. Like, the fact that even exists is crazy, but it only exists on Xbox. And again, which is why I want to see the Back-Compat team. Again, I don't know if they're disbanded. I know that they stopped doing it a couple of years ago, but
Yeah, because they said Boom, when they brought that last batch out during that presentation. I think it was like was it? I forgot when it was. I think it was like 2 years ago. It's like what Hargeet said. They had exhausted all of their avenues through licensing and through technicalities to be able to bring those back. But again, that's because Activision, just like PlayStation and of course just like companies looking to make money with remasters, they have no incentive to give players the ability to play the older games because they want to take the Nintendo route. They want to sell you Mario Kart 8 for the third time with all the DLC.
But gentlemen, why is that surprising to you? They've been very forthcoming with that, right? I mean, look at what Jim Ryan said during his deposition, right? He said Game Pass is a value destructive proposition.
Yeah,
Xbox's Back-Compat system in this way is a value destructive proposition for shareholders. That's what it is, right? Are we shareholders? Some of us are. But primarily, we're gamers, and to us, it's great. But to them, it's value destructive. Now, let's break that apart real quick. What value destructive means? It means because they gave you the Back-Compat version now at 4K, they can't sell it to you anymore. That's the reason why it didn't come to Xbox. They can't make money off of you.
Know why that's a problem, right? With Sony's,
it's a problem for shareholders. If you're a shareholder, you're pissed. Me, I'm both a shareholder and a gamer, so I'm good with it.
Yeah. Both.
But Kay, here's the thing, and Boom is gonna bring it up later on the later topic. This is the part that gets the Latino heat coming out. All right,
here we go, folks.
All right, this is the part where I bring out the
Latino heat.
Okay. With all of the crap that these media people spew and all the fanboys spew on a daily basis, why aren't moves like this being championed?
They never do. Yes.
And that's something that is so irritating. And I'm sorry.
But you know why, though?
It's going to raise my blood pressure every single time.
It's because no market leader has been magnanimous. Every market leader up until now has done exactly this. Sony has. Nintendo has for a short period. Genesis and then Sega did. No market leader who's in the zeitgeist goes, "Hey, we could leave money on the table, but we could take more of your money with a remaster, but instead we're just going to give it to you." No, none of them have ever done it. And the third place incumbent is now doing it. And because the third place incumbent is doing it, and the first place are going, "It's value destructive," they got the Warriors out there going, "It's value destructive because he said so." Wait until the market leader changes the game, and maybe you'll get different narratives.
But this is where I wish that people would turn on their brain, right? Because this right here, this is common sense to me. When during the Xbox One days, when Xbox was doing anti-consumer moves, everybody got on them, rightfully so, because they were anti-consumer moves.
Yes.
This shouldn't matter what company it is. This is an anti-consumer move. We should all, as unanimous as a community, get together and say, "Hey, PlayStation, what
my friend, you fair weather friend. You
Dude, I'm just saying, I'm sorry, man.
One day you will get to the place where you'll be jaded enough to understand what's going on, right?
Brother, look,
it's business. It's dirty business.
I don't look. I understand it. I just don't have to like it. You know,
and that's fair.
But John, I would say the majority of people agree with you, whether they're on any one of these platforms. I don't think most players are saying, "Oh, I get a better deal. That sucks." I think most of them are like, "Yeah, why not?" And you know, but they're a vocal minority of people, and this is why I hate social media, that get amplified on social media, and that's all you hear, right? Yep. Because they're the only ones that come up on the algorithm. It's not the one that thinks, yeah, this is great. I like Call of Duty coming back. I like Call of Duty being in Game Pass. I'm a PlayStation gamer. It doesn't matter, right? Because this is good for me. There's plenty of players. I bet you 80% of PlayStation players are like that.
Right? Yes, you're right. You're right.
2% they're going to be this vocal, annoying asshole class, and that's all you hear.
Where is this vocal, annoying assholes, as you're calling them? Because that's putting it correctly. Where are they telling Jim, where's our backwards compatibility? Because
there are fanboys in everything. Okay,
why aren't PS3 games available?
Can you tell me why it matters? Nope, because they're just freaking cars.
Yeah.
But there are fanboys in everything. Coke
movies.
versus Pepsi. I can give you any one of these things. Does it really matter? Nope. But people go crazy.
I would say Pepsi's way better than Coke, sir. No,
see what I mean? Like, and you'll find plenty of people.
I'm drinking some right now,
and I could care less. Both of them are bad for you.
Yeah, I don't care either.
I mean, listen, it's a great. It's like I said. I love having these kind of conversations because we are coming at them from multiple angles. Before we get into the second half of the show, where we're going to be at, this is where it's going to get a little bit frisky. I'm going to be honest with you folks, because you know, when Xbox doesn't deliver on first party, let's say for instance they have a horrendous 2022, right? Every news media conglomerate is writing about it, and we're all pointing, even the fans, like we were all bent out of shape. The Xbox fans were pissed on how they handled 2022. It was terrible. But that same sentiment is happening right now for Sony with first party. Now, granted, I'm not taking anything away from Spider-Man. It is going to be amazing, pun intended. I cannot wait for it. I bought the digital deluxe edition, as I always do, and I cannot wait to get into this game. But we got to be fair, and you got to call a spade a spade. But before we get there, I do want to get Kay Asante's opinion on this, because obviously Strauss Zelnick defended this as you would expect that he would. He is the CEO of Take-Two. They make a lot of money. This port and pricing of this port are coming on the heels of a very ill-received Grand Theft Auto trilogy that was done in the dark in someone's basement, and they said just go because it was awful.
So my thoughts might be a little different than others.
Okay, so let's hear it.
I think Strauss, and of course, Everborn Saga is not here, so I'm going to play this position. I think Strauss is in pocket. Strauss is playing his position, because remember, we said this before while we were talking about the Back-Compat conversation. It requires approval. Which company, of all companies, has games that you can't record on Xbox? Take-Two. Go ahead and try record Red Dead. Try record Max Payne 3. Good luck on any Xbox console.
Yeah,
your recording capability will be disabled because Take-Two said so. You're gonna have to do it your way because Take-Two said so. They are all about that dough. They are charge them more personified.
Yeah.
But when Microsoft said, "Hey, we want to put this game in Back-Compat," what did they say? They said, "Sure, go for it." Strauss is in pocket. He knows that he's working with Xbox. Hey, they want to do it. We'll do it with them. That's fine. Maybe the dollars and cents made them feel a bit better about doing it the Back-Compat way. And then, of course, we do have other platforms. Yeah, we have PlayStation. Yeah, we have Switch. Charge them more because they don't have the capability to do what Xbox can. It's about the dollar and the cents, right? They can't do that on Xbox because nobody will, because what you'd be doing is charging people $50 for a 30 to 60 frames per second patch. That's literally what you'd be doing because the 4K is already achieved, right? So they can't do that on there. And they knew that from day one. Because many people, if you look at many publishers, Take-Two not included, they didn't even allow for the Back-Compat program to go through. When to your point, John, when they said that they'd reached their technical or allowance capability to allow for Back-Compat, or we've reached our technical capability, or we've reached
the licensing
where no one was licensing. Exactly. They weren't specifically talking about Take-Two or Activision. They're talking about a lot of them. It could be a bit of Ubisoft. It could be a bit of Activision. It could be that all of them have plans to re-release something, and they don't want you to make it look nice. People already own it. Then
can
why
I
the
make
hell
a point?
would they want to rebuy it?
Yeah, can I back you up on what you're
Please.
saying right now? Think about this.
Yeah.
Dead Space 2 and 3 got the FPS boost. Dead Space 1 did not, because they were going to re-release Dead Space 1.
It's about the dollars and cents. You get it. So you're gonna hate Strauss? Nah, man. Strauss is there to make.
Oh no,
the
I'm
money.
not hating on him at all.
No.
CEOs do what CEOs do.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna call him out.
Where I commend Strauss is he's like, oh, your hardware is capable of giving you something, giving your consumers something that we're going to charge for. All right, you can have that. Those that can't, charge them more. Whereas other companies go, nah, even though it can do it, we're going to artificially stop you from doing it because charge them more. He let them do it, knowing damn well that at some point there'd be a remaster that he couldn't charge them more for. But he still let them do it. Maybe it was a deal with Microsoft. Maybe Microsoft said, hey, let's throw you a couple of bucks. For whatever reason, Strauss, Mr. All About the Bucks, said sure to something that would definitively stop him getting Xbox bucks. Very unusual, no? Right? So I mean, I feel like they have different conversations in the background, right? We heard through legal filings and documentation, they kind of passed around Zynga like a toy until they decided to give it to Strauss. They were playing. We need it. Nah, Microsoft doesn't need. We want something bigger. Let's go ABK. You can have that. They've been back around. They have a good relationship for quite some time. So this doesn't surprise me, right? Now, what will they do with that 60 frames? Hopefully, out of nowhere, you hear, ABK, what do you call it? Take-Two has authorized Microsoft to put the FPS boost in. Now you'd melt faces. Now the sodium would flow. That hasn't happened yet. It could still.
Okay, right? Because people
technically on Xbox, there's no way of doing the 60 frames. But Microsoft could now go, by the way, gentlemen, you guys allowed this everywhere else except for our platform. We've given you the resolution. How about authorizing us to do the FPS boost? And bam,
it's a bone.
You have it both.
Could you imagine? You know something? You said sodium, and I think what you really mean is, and they're going to be tiers of a certain subset that would be crying, but it would be some, I would say, earth-shattering news that if, let's say, tomorrow, or because obviously this port isn't out yet. I believe it's coming out on the 17th or the 18th, right? So it's coming out soon. I'm just saying that Microsoft is in the driver's seat for a lot of things right now. People don't want to admit it. People don't want to give them credit for it. They are running the gambit in the industry. There's no, folks, say what you want. They are running the gambit. Could you imagine that on the day, that this game is going to be released on the Switch and on the PlayStation 4 to play on the PlayStation 5, they announced through their socials, Red Dead Redemption just got the
What'll happen is that CVS will run out. Yeah, CVS will run out of a blood pressure medication. That's what'll happen because the sodium levels will be all over the place, and CVS will be sending out a mass email to everybody. Your blood pressure medication ain't going to be available for 6 months. That's what's going to happen.
You understand, right? Like, you get it, right? And they can justify that because who else has the capability? It's not like they're artificially stopping it on PlayStation. It's not like they're artificially stopping it on Nintendo's platforms. They're not capable of doing so.
Right.
Goya amounts of salt, sir. Goya.
And right now, here's the final point, though. And right now, when they release this thing, that will technically put Xbox at a deficit because now you have a 60 frames game on everywhere else but Xbox. That's not fair. So what can Xbox do? Let us FPS boost it.
Yes.
And then every game you own, if you happen to own one of these, or you happen to have gotten it from Xbox Live Gold, you now have 4K and the 60. The 60
Okay, we
hasn't
should.
happened yet.
Okay, we should plug our channel here real fast and our show.
Please, by
We
all
talk
means,
about
plug
we talk about stuff like this all the time, guys. And for everybody in the
Well,
chat,
by the
we'll-
way, if you don't want to wait for Strauss and team to get you
Exactly.
their 60 frames,
exactly.
come and talk to us because we will show you how
About
to do it on the
PC.
Xbox.
But I thought they
Or
like
on
the
the PC,
game is
yeah.
not going to do 60, right? The new version, it's not doing
No.
The new
60.
version is going to do 60. It's
I
just
don't
not
think
doing
so,
4K.
Kay. No, I don't
Isn't
think
it
so.
like half? Oh, it's still staying 30.
I think so. Yep.
And to my knowledge,
is
it's also not doing
strange.
4K.
No, it's not doing 4. No, it's not. It's
So the only platform that has 4K is Xbox because
It's
the One X
Xbox.
enhanced.
Oh, okay.
And that was
so
free.
then why would you
Yeah.
pay for it for $50 if
Because
it's not
you're
doing
a
60
a
or
Sony-
4K?
You're a PlayStation only fan.
Exactly.
Maybe.
I love
This,
it.
and this is all strong. You know, Zell hears whenever he sees a PlayStation
Oh
fanboy.
my
Okay?
god!
Yes.
That's it. That's all he hears. Thank you.
Another-
Another sucker born every day.
Yep.
So if that's the case, and you get no multiplayer, you get no
multiplayer, but
60
you do on
frames,
Xbox.
you get
Your
no
Xbox is still
4K,
Yep.
right?
But you get
And you
Undead
pay
Nightmare.
$50?
That's the bonus, according. That's the
But
bonus.
you have
That
that, on
does
Xbox
really
as well,
suck.
So,
Yeah.
and
That
all of
does
it,
really, really suck.
all of it's 4K, right? So on Xbox, you get all of it 4K.
Wow.
You get all the multiplayer for both. You just don't.
You
know,
get the scraps, Hargy.
You don't have to pay extra.
That's it. That's what they get. The scraps.
Yeah. And if you own the game on disc,
Tasty
digital,
dog
whatever,
food.
just install it. Play it. You got it.
Pedigree, baby.
It's
That is so interesting. Wow.
I all I can say, folks, is if you enjoyed this conversation, you're gonna really enjoy the next conversation because we have some information. Sony's earnings report for the Q1 have been released, folks, and I'm here to tell you, based on what they have reported, what I've seen in the documents that are available for anyone to go look. If you thought that there was a drought for first party in 2023, I got a funny feeling you're going to get that in 2024 in spades. And I'm going to break that down as to why that is in a second. But let me catch up on a couple of the super chats. And Hargi Chani, who's on the panel, gives away Red Dead Redemption Global Code. And he
You're the
also
man,
gives away Baldur's Gate 3 as well. So thank you, Hargeet, for being so generous as you are.
Next
And
time,
he's-
how about you let us pick through those codes first, man? I would have liked that. bonus.
No, that's for the community.
Love it.
I'm part of
love
the
it.
community, damn it.
Viewers.
I'm just saying.
No,
So listen,
Hargy, give me the heads up next time, bro.
if you did win, please say thank you. That would be the appropriate
Yes,
way
sir.
to do it because he gave away Baldur's Gate 3, which is again 97 meta. What an accomplishment for Larian, which by the way was on Microsoft's list to acquire.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I
So-
think I know why they didn't acquire them because I don't think Microsoft can acquire soft porn companies. That's why. Boom.
Oh wow. You know about the bear sex?
Because dude, everything I've seen from that game is kind of like, is anyone around while I'm playing this? I don't know.
Did you see-
Did you see Jez?
You can turn
did
it
you see
all
Jez
off,
Corden's
right?
video?
Up to you, but
Oh, man,
Jez
that's
has
awesome.
a tweet where he's fighting a squirrel and he literally mutilated a squirrel. Like, it's just the weirdest
wow.
thing.
He kicked the bejesus out of me.
Listen, sometimes you got to
Oh,
kill a
man.
squirrel. That's what you got to do. Real quick, the first super chat of the day comes the way of Dark Winters, who drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "I'll keep banging this drum. Ghost Rider would be amazing." Yeah, it would. It would be. Look,
Yes.
Marvel is in a pickle. Disney is in a pickle. And it just so happens.
Rumor is Apple is sniffing around. Ooh.
Yeah, Apple has been sniffing around Disney. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. But I will say this: it just so happens that once this ABK deal is done, Microsoft is going to get their hands on a significant amount of studios that have Marvel chops. I would dare say, and I'm not taking this conversation that way. This would be a conversation for another podcast. I do believe in my heart of hearts that conversations have been had. This is speculation. I have no information to back this up. It's just my pure speculation. Microsoft has been in talks with Embracer Group to bring home Crystal Dynamics as well as Eidos Montreal I really feel that is going to happen, only not for a lot of reasons. Forget the fact that they need money, but the fact that those two studios are working on major Xbox first party titles in Perfect Dark and Fable. If they get their hands on those studios and they could make a deal with Marvel, man, oh man, I mean, it's sky's the limit. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Probably a good thing for those studios too, because Embracer would have to be able to fund their other games, and if they don't have any, like their money is kind of drying out. So
it is.
If
they're
that's
in
not
the pickle.
going to happen, they're going to waste those studios. It's better to get the funding from Microsoft.
They're closing
to be able
studios
to give
now.
them what they need. Right?
They are closing. Literally, they just closed a studio.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea for those two studios for them to have like the funding that Microsoft will give them whatever support they need. That's what they've been saying, right? So it would be way better situation for them. So good luck. I hope it happens. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be amazing. And risk it for the biscuit, all the way from the other side of the planet in Australia. Risk it. How you feeling, brother? He drops a very generous $8 super chat and says, "I can tell you now, all of the Back-Compat games that can be boosted have been, including ABK games. It's not a licensing thing. Sorry to rain on the parade." No, you're not raining on any parade, brother. Listen, we appreciate the hot take opinions and, of course, the generosity. All right, so let me give credit where credit is due, as I always do. Something I'm a big fan of. Hazador Gaming on Twitter. Well, if you don't follow him, you probably should. He is or at least one of many resident news bomb droppers. Well, he put out a tweet where it says, according to Sony's latest financials, they're hinting that some first-party games will be getting delayed for PlayStation, but we don't know what games they are. Now, this comes the way of Sony or SIE, their Q1 2023 report, where sales were upward of 7%. They had increases in sales of non-first-party titles, including add-on content. They also saw they were impacted by the foreign exchange rates, where they also had a 3% upward revision, and that included impact of increased sales for non-first-party titles, of course, including content, decreased costs. But this is where they kind of took it on the chin. Degradation and profitability of PlayStation 5 hardware, mainly due to changes in promotions by geographical region and sales channel mixes. Now, who cares? This is where we get into the weeds, folks. And this is where you got to start wondering whether or not the PlayStation fan base is going to demand better, the same way that they have been rebel-rousing Xbox fans for years for us to ask for better. According to this report, which I have literally in front of me, folks, says that impact of changes in the launch dates of a portion of first-party titles for PlayStation 5. Now, they don't specifically say what those titles are. We can only assume that they are the next ones in line. But listen, and Asante, I want to go to you first now. This is troubling for Sony fans, which a lot of us are. I said this in the green room. I turn on my console twice, maybe 3 times a year. And it's not because the console is not a good console. PlayStation 5 is quite a good system. The issue is that I have it as a first-party machine. So if they're not releasing first-party games, well, then I'm not playing on it. I did turn it on for Stray when I played that. I almost beat it. It was quite good. That actually just released on Xbox the other day. So if you're interested in Stray, I highly recommend it. It is a phenomenal game from a very from a studio that you didn't even know existed. Stray is quite a good game. But Asante, we know, right, that the only exclusives that Sony had this year was Forspoken, which was horrible. Final Fantasy 16, quite a good game. As a matter of fact, if you're a fan of Everborn Saga, he just beat it and he gives it a very high score. I very much want to play because it's not like your mainline turn-based Final Fantasies. It's more like Devil May Cry. That's right up my alley. He quite enjoyed it, and it scored pretty well. It didn't sell as well as Square wanted. But the only first-party game for Sony this year is Spider-Man, and even though that's going to be a big game, if we are to go based on their June show, 2024 could be as sparse as 2023. And based on this report saying that they're going to have first-party games delayed, well, that says something. So my question is this going to be an issue for the PlayStation Nation? And how come no one's asking for better?
So is this an issue for the PlayStation Nation? No. Why is no one asking for better? Because Sony's very good at this. They are very good at this. People love to give Sony and Microsoft smoke for this and that. One thing you cannot give Sony smoke on is they know how to move the sheep. I'm sorry. I know it sounds a little upsetting, but that's
it's the truth.
They know how to do the sleight of hand. Keep your hands here, not over there. Look, they are the same. Like in the Apple and Apple and everyone else space, I always complain. These guys are going to the same factories, building the same crap that you get your Dells and your HPs, and they're charging you twice the price and you're paying for it because they have the messaging to be able to do that, right? So Sony went through the same problems Microsoft did. COVID happened for everyone. The difference is Microsoft's COVID issues were on Front Street, right? And for some reason, most likely by the nature of where the development fell, right at the beginning of the PS5, and shout out to Sony, salute to them for that, they had killer titles ready to go, even during COVID, meaning they were prepping way before that thing was ready to release. So COVID or no COVID, they were further down the line and they were able to release it on time, right? To me, that is such credit to PlayStation, because even now, I don't have a game from Xbox that I say is their first party thing that I go, look, see, that's the thing that makes Xbox's thing special, right? I'm still waiting on that. And Sony was able to do that from jump. But while I'm giving them credit, understand what happened here. While they were doing that, they were literally reveling in this, the salt that was the community, like basically throwing arrows at Microsoft for having no titles for the calendar year, knowing damn well they were right behind them, as usual.
Yes,
right? We let them take the arrows, and then we do exactly the same thing they did. This is exactly what is happening. They all had issues, right? Sony put their ducks in a row a certain way, so they were able to release games right at the beginning, but now you're experiencing their delays because their delays were there, just like Microsoft's delays were there. Only their delays were on Front Street, and they were saying, these games are coming out in the calendar 12 months, and they did that, and they took attention all the way off of everybody else who were potentially having issues, put it upon themselves, and we spent the whole year just like ridiculing them for not being honest with us, right? All the while, Sony's in the background going, we're going to go through some of this stuff as well. Difference is we ain't going to tell nobody. We're just going to let Microsoft continue to take all the attention. That's literally what happened here. So am I surprised that 2023 has probably one game and 2024 probably has one game, if maybe two? No, because it's hard. They don't have magic sauce. Like they didn't get the special don't get COVID drug that they could then use to circumvent all the world stopping for 2 years. No, they experienced it as well. Only difference is Sony, unlike Microsoft, and this is all credit I'm giving them, know how to hide important information from the sheep, and that's what you're seeing.
I mean, you make a lot of great points. And speaking of which, one game that you're probably getting next year that's going to be either the one or the one of two is going to be The Last of Us 2 remastered.
Of course,
that's a fact. What you will not be getting is Factions 2, because that
And real
apparently
quick,
has.
apologies. I see people calling me out in the chat. I see you there, Splendiferous, asking me, am I implying that Forza Horizon 5 and Halo campaign was trash? I think Forza campaign was amazing. I think Halo's campaign was both amazing. They could run on anything. I want something that runs on my next-gen console and justifies my next-gen console. They did not.
There's only
That's my
one.
point.
I'm holding back. I'm holding
Flight
back my
Sim being
laughter.
the only reason. Flight Sim being the only exception, because that thing could not run on that potato without it.
I'm
Only
holding
thing.
back my laughter because for the PlayStation, like Hargeet said, OnlyFans, Bungie went into Naughty Dog
True.
and told them, "Oh, you guys were releasing this next year? Nah, son, that ain't happening."
Yeah, that thing has been canceled. It is not is. And what's funny is, and again, this is, let me bring in Crispy Bomb because we need a little bit of solium here. Crispy, I mentioned Last of Us 2 remake, which is confirmed. They're working on it. I don't know why we need it, but they're going to deliver it and people are going to buy it. I will not be buying it. What won't be a part of that is Factions, which is I would have guaranteed that it would have been, and they would have charged you for Factions. Turns out Factions was so poorly designed that it had to be canceled.
AKA abandoned.
Abandoned, canceled, whatever, you
I
want to
see what
add
you're
to
doing
it.
there, John. Stop it, John. That was
That
very
game
bad.
that was abandoned?
was very bad.
It's from the
Crispy,
same developer. That
Again,
one dude.
more messy than I would, and that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
listen. This is what we have to have fun, right? I remember when Factions 2 was supposed to launch with the original Last of Us 2.
Wasn't that 30 years
and they
ago?
said, no, we're sorry. It's being delayed. We're having problems. You'll get it next year. And then that year went by, and they're like, no, we're still working on it.
My daughter could barely walk, Boom, when they announced that sucker, and now she's running all over the place.
She's running, and she's running now. She's running full sprint. So this is where we get it. This is where we get into the conversation, Crispy. Why is it okay for Xbox gamers to demand better, but PlayStation gamers, for the most of them, will make excuses and will not ask for better? One, again, Spider-Man 2 is probably going to be 89, 90, 91 meta. No one is fighting that. It's going to be a great. Insomniac Games is literally carrying Sony on their backs. Let's call it like it is. The game's going to be great. It's going to sell 10 million copies before the end of the year. I don't doubt that either. It's Spider-Man. But one game, one first party game is just not enough. Let's talk about it.
Well, I want to be honest for a second. Sony released a movie recently with Spider-Man in it, and it did not do well. You might be irrelevant to that fact, but it's a fact. It lost
Into
like
the Spider-Verse?
Yes.
I just got my money. I just bought it.
Well, no, but they're gonna make it. They're gonna try to make it on the back end, but it did not do good in theaters. It didn't.
And by the way, that was a great movie.
Yeah,
great
well,
movie.
I
Didn't do
don't.
good,
I'm
but
not.
It was a great movie.
I'm not. I don't. Listen, I have Spider-Man fatigue. The only reason why, like the Wolverine game, that's one that I'm like, why aren't they touting that? Because once you get through Spider-Man, what are you gonna have? Wolverine. Wolverine, he hasn't been touched in a long time, and he got Deadpool coming out. Deadpool 3. Guess what? Hugh Jackman's reprising his role as Wolverine, and he's actually wearing the yellow suit, which is kind of crazy, by the way, because he's never done that in all the films. He's never had the iconic yellow suit that screams X-Men and everything else. He is going to be wearing that. That is going to be interesting because he is Wolverine in my eyes. X-Men 2 defined me saying Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. I mean, there's nothing else. And this is rated R, and there will be blood and gore like Logan which Logan, I'm sorry if you're a Wolverine fan, if you have not watched the entire story arc, watch that movie and you will be like, wow, because it was rated R and this is what he wanted. And this is why he did this with Ryan, because he's friends with him, even though they act like they're not. And these are the things that I say, like, you're touting Spider-Man right now. Spider-Man's on a decline in my eyes. And it's because we have Spider-Man fatigue, because Sony
Well,
has...
I mean, you are onto something, Crispy. This will be the third Spider-Man game in 5 years. So,
And I mean, so how good is Insomniac for being able to do this? That's the question. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you had Miles Morales, call it a DLC or not, they got their money's worth from it. But there's a point in time where people are like, dude, I want something new. And
well, I mean, so this leads into the topic at hand here. We just learned from their financials, Crispy, that there are going to be delays. What those delays are, we don't know, but I would imagine that they're going to be major first-party delays. Now, who's that from? Sucker Punch? I don't know. From Insomniac? Well, I mean, Wolverine is not expected to 2025 anyway. Could this be from? Are they talking about Naughty Dog? Who knows? But the fact that PlayStation gamers are getting one game this year and potentially only one next year, the question still remains: why are they not asking for better?
They can't. They don't know how. They don't know how to call out the company that they worship. The plastic box does not have a cross on it. I'm sorry. All right. I mean, let's be honest here. Okay. I was a huge PlayStation fan. And all I asked for is like simple stuff like, hey, compete. Hey, actually make multiplayer games. And then they throw factions to the curb. And I've never played factions, but you never know. Like if I buy a PlayStation, that's a part of the ecosystem. You know, understand what I'm saying? Like I was a huge SOCOM fan. I actually like a lot of people give Killzone 2 hate. I'll tell you right now, as far as multiplayer was concerned, that was a step above everybody else at that time. All right. I look at like a game like MAG, for example. Incredible game, but way too far ahead. They have stopped thinking ahead. And you don't have to be too far ahead like MAG was. You have to be a little bit far ahead. And this is where we say the 4K cloud gaming thing. Well, why'd they do that? They did that because they feel that their heels to the fire and they can't move them. It's stuck in quicksand. They don't know what to do. And they've released that whole showcase, which most of it was some kind of gas game when it comes to first party. Okay. And what is Xbox doubling down on?
Single player game, sir.
Avowed. We just saw that come out. Avowed wouldn't be what it's probably going to be if it wasn't for Microsoft.
Yep. That's
Clockwork Revolution. And Exile said Microsoft saved our identity, our ideals, and it also made us better. And it made us say, you know what? We don't care about what we develop and how much money it costs. All we care about is saying, hey, is this okay with you? You know what I'm saying? And they don't have to worry about, you know, getting paid at the end of the day. Because, I mean, being a worker, like all of us, in some way, shape, or form, we look at the one that's above us and we say, what are we allowed to do? And then Microsoft says, whatever you want. People are going to be like, say what? What do you mean? And, oh, you need support? Just let us know. Just let us know. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen the support properties of this entire company come in and help certain games. And some of them they didn't. Redfall, prime example. Prime example, and Phil took the L right in front of my face, you know, on a podcast. Took the L and said we should have sent in the A team, and we didn't. And he said that. And by all means, I'm cool with that. I would rather have transparency when I am like, dude, like this is not like you're touting this as like a game I need to play on Game Pass. And I'm like, bro, no, I'm sorry. Like I'd rather go play a game that's more simplistic. Like he had the properties of being a great game, but there was like no enemies half the time. Every video I watch, I was like, there's no enemies. That's where you go. And I'm a gamer, man. Like I'll play multiplayer. I'll play with people. That's the most important part of how I play a video game. But at the end of the day, what are you giving me lately? And I can play a single player. I could say this single player is really good. You know what I mean? But here's the best part. Let Xbox IP have a multiplayer involved in some way. And for them to go reverse and go and say, well, Avowed's going to be single player, and they were going to go multiplayer because they couldn't afford otherwise. I look at that and I say, you know what? I played a lot of RPGs in my life, and I love playing single player in RPGs. I love making my own story. I love making, this game my own. And that's something that I love. That's why, like, you're gonna be hard pressed to find me hate Starfield, because I know what God Howard's gonna do. Trust me. All right. He's gonna blow people's minds, and you're gonna walk on a planet and just see like this amazing, like multiple suns, like moons. And I'm one of them people. Like I look to the stars.
My life
sometimes.
is over when Starfield releases.
I look to the stars sometimes and I say, man, like the possibilities. You know what I mean? Because there's billions upon billions of universes, and there's billions upon trillions of galaxies. And you look at that and you say, it is possible, because we've seen it in telescopes if you actually look at. But I'm that type of person, and I know a lot of people that are, and a lot of Xbox gamers are. But we also call out, dude, like the Xbox Live thing, like nobody gives us credit. You know what I mean? Like, dude, like we got so much hate that day on Breakfast with Boom. Okay.
Yeah, but we
got
had to do
so much hate.
We did.
Because we called them out and we said, no, this is not the time. Now they restructured it, with the core Game Pass thing. But in the end, at least they thought about it. And logically, I mean, 25 basically, I mean, you get Doom Eternal in there. I mean, that's still selling at $20. You know what I'm saying? Like you're getting games that, actually mean something to somebody that's getting into the ecosystem. So I say, like, PlayStation, if you're a true PlayStation fan, if you're not gonna throw this PSVR 2 stuff out there, which is hilarious.
Oh, we got to talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now, like some of these things, I'm like, dude, like you should be like, hey, like this 4K cloud gaming thing. If you want to run with that, I'm good. But you're defending stuff that makes no sense. And the one thing that I could stand on my hill and I continue to do is PlayStation. Make a damn multiplayer, single player, story driven, and multiplayer game. Do that. Because I played them on Xbox. And it's been a long time since like SOCOM or Killzone or something like that. What are you doing? You ain't going to do it. You can't even bring out factions, for the love of God. Like, what are we doing here? Come on.
Oh, I mean, listen, fantastic points, and you're absolutely right. When you think about it, one of the most anticipated multiplayer games for Sony first party, because there are not many folks, was expected to be Factions 2. And as we have learned, and John said it earlier, they were like, nah, son, this ain't working. And Bungie was like, kick it to the curb, it's out.
No,
So,
I think the correct word Bungie used was bruh when they saw the game. They said sorry. Hey, we ain't doing that. It doesn't have enough neon in it.
Oh
Okay.
my God, the slander!
Somebody take
We're
this
trying to-
man's soundboard away from him. I'm
No, no,
sorry.
we know.
No, he's already
the
talking about
soundboard.
marathon.
I
Here we
love it.
go.
Bruh. I love it.
So-
Hargeet, Hargeet, let's bring you into the conversation because look, the truth of the matter is that Sony showed up light, and Kayasante really painted a picture where Microsoft took the arrows for 2022, and rightfully so. Let's be fair here. Microsoft dropped the ball. We gave them the arrows. We did not, and they got what they got because they gave what they gave. So let's be fair. This year is going to be a much different year. The last 4 months of the year, if my theory comes to fruition, and it's Starfield September, October for Motorsport, Call of Duty for November, and potentially Stalker 2 for December, it's a wrap. That's going to be probably the best 4 months Xbox has put out in the last decade. No, there's no doubt about it. But now we have it on confirmed information from their filings for their first quarter that first-party games, some of which are going to be delayed. Now, we can only go based on the future that Sony has shown us. And that June show was awful. It was terrible.
Mhm.
It was a bunch of gas games that looked underbaked, and no one's going to care. And they're probably all going to fail, especially the Foam Stars one, which looks like a Splatoon ripoff, which is just awful.
That's not
Let's
first
get-
party, but
What's that?
that's not first party. Foam
No,
started
it's
Square
not.
Enix.
It's not. It is not first party. I said this before, and I'll say it again. The biggest disappointment for me was Jade Raymond's game because
Their
she's
games. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
she's a single player story driven kind of designer, and I really thought that when they signed her studio, that is what they were going to get because Sony does really good single player games, and that was a big miss for me, and it's probably going to fail from inception. Let's get your theory and your take on. Well, 23 we know what we're getting, but 24 looks as bleak. What are your thoughts on this, Hargeet?
Yeah, I mean, you can first. I'll answer Risk It a little bit. The Back-Compat, you're right. They've got all the things. Here's what they could do. Risk It though is they could just do a slight patch and say we're going to unlock the frame rate, and we'll do it on PlayStation 3 as well. The only problem is PS3 you can't do anything about it because it's PS3 and you can't bring it to PS5. But in Back-Compat mode with an unlocked frame rate, you suddenly might just get 120 frames. I'm just saying, it may just do. I'm just saying that's a possibility that they can do. But okay, as far as this, so I was just putting together the list of like all their studios and what they're working on and what they have worked on. And the majority of the games from all of their studios have come out. And by the way, you keep skipping San Diego. It does make MLB The Show every year. And they did put that out this year as well.
That is very true. That is correct. Yes.
So we'll not forget that that's happening, right? So
And didn't MLB like join some kind of like best sales list as well? It was ridiculously high on the top selling lists or something like a couple days ago.
Adding it to Xbox has been a very big boon to them, and adding it to Game Pass,
it's in the top 5 of the year of sales.
has not hurt, right? Game Pass has not hurt their sales. In fact, it's increased their sales.
I'm pretty sure that it's in that same list. It's in that same list where Hogwarts Legacy was the top selling still. To your point, MLB The Show is in that top 5, which is just bonkers, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So they had one actual release outside of MLB The Show in 2021 as well, and that was Ratchet and Clank, though everybody gives them Returnal because they bought Housemarque right afterwards, right? But technically that was not a first party release either. So they had one game in 2021. But they did have several very big games in 2020. And that's where it kind of starts. All their studios released their games in 2020 and 2022 outside of Insomniac putting it out RNC in 2021. And then if you add Housemarque into it, they put out Returnal in 2021. That puts it in an interesting place, right? So now they kind of have started a new cycle as far as their games for pretty much all their studios. Mm-hmm. In general, a AAA game is now between the 5+ year range, or maybe if you really push it, right? If you're not going to do any
6.
graphical updates, it's
God of War was 6, and so was Aloy. The first and second were both 6.
So if you start looking at those, you start saying, well, I mean, what could you get from these studios? So Fair Games, That is a potential that could come out in the next year or two. Haven't given us a release date. They haven't really shown us gameplay. So my guess is that's 2-ish years out. So maybe it comes out at the end of next year, but most likely it'll come out in 25, right? That'd be my guess, right? So we're probably going to have a showcase of that showing some gameplay next year, right? So that's where I would expect to see that. There's a game from London Studio that it's some cooperative multiplayer game that we have no idea when they started. So maybe that could be something that comes out in the next year or two. So that could be the one game. Wolverine, again, I mean, I guess that's a 25.
25, I think. I'm pretty
it's
sure.
Gotta be, right?
It.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, I don't think they started that in like 2019 or something. So, you know, it is what it is. So that's got to be 25, if not 26. Media Molecule last game was Dreams, and they had to keep updating that. So now they stopped that after, I think it was this year, was it last year? They stopped Dreams. So that means now they've opened up that studio to now start working on something else. Last of Us 2 is the big Naughty Dog game. They were working on Factions on one team, but they I believe still have another studio team working in that studio on another game. But again, it's likely a 25, 26 game, right? So you got to wow. Polyphony just put out GT7 last year. That ain't going anywhere. So you're going to wait at least a few years, right? And the last game was 15? Was that when the last one came out?
That was Sport. Yeah, I'm pretty
sure.
sure.
It was like a long time ago, right? So, I mean, maybe they do something. And remember, the GT7 was not even a next-gen game. It was a cross-gen game. So maybe they retool, just like Forza Motorsport is doing with Turn 10. They're going to retool for the PS5. Or maybe even the PS6 at this point, you know, to get that. So I don't know when that next game comes out from them. Santa Monica Ragnarok just came out last year. So you got to be waiting at least 4 years for another game. So they're in trouble. So Sucker Punch goes to Tsushima 2020. Maybe you see something in 24, but very likely it's going to be 25, 26.
So
Hargy had Astro.
Quick question,
Hargy.
Hargy.
A small game. Maybe they give you something, but it'd be a small game.
So if you check what Ty talks and salute to him in the chat, who he's saying, you know, he makes a good point, right? They are good with the money hat. So even though you're absolutely right, they don't have any first parties. The question remains: what money hats will they be successful at convincing you consumers that it's first party? Because that's what they'll have to do, right?
They're definitely going to have to do it. I'm sure
they are. And I'm sure they are. Well, they got one, Foam Stars.
Well done.
Yes, there you go. I love it. The slander of it all.
And I'm sure that'll sell 10 million consoles right there. Anyway,
it's gonna be a party.
So, but you know, to that point, there will be other ones, right? And you can probably look to Japan. There'll probably be some deals over there made to bring something substantial onto their platform. Now, this is where it's interesting when Phil and Sarah are going out to Japan, right, to make all the deals to counter that, right, to say, no, we need to bring those things to our platform too. And what can we do to make sure that happens? But look, at some point, Sony's going to win, right? Like, look at their sales. It's ridiculous. At the end of this fiscal, they expect to be at like 60 plus million consoles. And Microsoft's sitting at like 21. Like, dude, you're nowhere near them, right? So you need to start really ramping it up. So somehow they need to sell a lot more. Now, look, they have some wind behind their sales too. With an ABK purchase, they can do a lot of cool things, right? With some other acquisitions, they can bring more interest, more enthusiasm, more energy to the side. It could start increasing their console sales, but they need to do that to bring away. So to your point, it's not going to be difficult for Sony to walk in and say, well, by the end of this year, we're going to have 60 million consoles. The other side's like limping along doing nothing. Would you like to make a deal? And they're going to say, yeah, why not? Right. You will sell just by sheer numbers, 3-1. Right. And even if Microsoft were able to get to 30 million, it's still 2-1. Right. So it's going to be easy for them to do it. And that is how they're going to win. There's no, like, they have to do something, to your point. Right. So, yep, they will do that. They will money hat something. That's the way it is. Right. And fine. That's the way it goes. Right. Hopefully it's not something massive, but it could be something massive to bring interest. Right. So, the last one was FF16. Didn't work out for Square as well as it could have, but it is something that brings buzz. It brings some excitement to the PlayStation side. Hopefully, it does in fact help them as far as a big exclusive. But that is how it goes. But Square certainly did not win with that, and companies are also going to have to look at that and say, is that the right thing for me to do or not?
Is Square
So-
finally with this new CEO, Hargeet? Are they tired of being used like a condom and thrown away? Because pause.
Pause.
And big pause on that.
No, you're right,
because
and that is what's been happening. But look, the way I'm reading the tea leaves is we know they were about to be acquired by Microsoft, and that got left at the table, right? They got left at the altar, and they went with Zenny instead. And when that happened, that's when there was a massive partnership. If you notice, like stuff from Square was jumping into Game Pass. Outriders was coming in. Octopath Traveler was coming in. They weren't putting it on Sony. They put Octopath Traveler on Xbox and not PlayStation. I'm just saying there was a lot of stuff going on, and then suddenly, right around that Zenny time frame, there was a little go away, Microsoft. And so I think it's they got pissed. Hey, you left us here hanging.
Yeah.
We had to go sell our studios to sustain ourselves, right? So. Look,
I think Hargeet just explained why Octopath Traveler 2 didn't show up on Xbox. Just saying.
There will be. Yeah.
All those games. I think that happened all because they got left at the altar, and they're. So I don't blame them. It is what it is. People get emotional. Hey, we were banking on you funding our games, and you suddenly just vanish. Well, that's no good, right? So they got ticked. They went to Sony, the alternative, and said, "Hey, let's make some deals," right? Now. That CEO is now no longer at the company. The next CEO comes in and says, yeah, but that doesn't work for our bottom line. Can we go back to Microsoft and get some deals going? So, yeah, I think that's kind of where they are, right? So the new CEO is going to be essentially looked at by the shareholders to say, are you going to turn this around and give us results? Because they've been losing, and they can't just keep losing. They've got to have wins and wins and wins, right? And that comes by just putting your game on everything you can, cutting your costs, and increasing your customers, right? That's what they're going to try to do, right? So if they can get better deals from Microsoft to do some marketing, from Sony, they're going to go with that, but not go this exclusive route, and instead just try to take out as many customers as they can from every platform. The idea of putting FF16 on one platform, not even putting it on PC at launch, was a terrible idea. They did at least get 2-3 million just by putting it on PC. And that would have been a massive jump in comparison to where they are. The game is fantastic. It's rated pretty well, right? So yes, it's somewhat of a departure, but most of the people I talk to who complain about it still finish the game. So that tells you something, right? So you might as well put it on at least put it on PC at the same time. It would have had all the buzz. Now you're going to have, you have Baldur's Gate 3 taking some mind share. You've got Starfield coming and taking some mind share. You're going to have other games like that, and now you've killed the buzz that was there at the launch. They should have put it on PC immediately. But hopefully, to your point, yes, hopefully they've stopped this idea that we're only going to put these games on freaking PlayStation. I think that was just like a emotional reaction.
The thing is that
idea for business.
You can only the same song and dance gets tiring after a while. Oh, this game didn't meet sales expectations. Oh, this game didn't meet. I wonder why, guys. Maybe because you're limiting yourselves to your market.
Exactly. And there's also a level of pushing customers away, right? Why are you only putting it there? And some customers just like, well, screw you, Square, then you don't want me, right? And unfortunately, that is going to happen. There will be a percent of the customer base. It's like, well, I don't want to talk to you, then go away, right? And that's not good for business. That's just the way it is, right? You can have onesie, twosie here and there, but they were just doing like everything's going here. And it's like, whoa, slow down. Right. So, but that seems to be repaired. We had Phil Spencer come out on the stage. My friend Phil Spencer. So that was great. Right.
He was hugging him all over the place.
Yeah. Big handshake, awkward thing. That was whatever. So
I agree.
This is my new boss, man.
So, but anyway, and we don't know if there's going to be a ring put on that.
Like I said, it could very well be possible that an acquisition could happen just based on that 15% stock drop off the other day was not good. That was definitely not good.
And speaking of acquisitions, is with the other part of what potentially Sony could do, right? Outside of the fact that I've noted, and I don't know if it's true or not, we'll have to figure it out, that anything big, they may not be able to buy just because of their sheer size of market in Japan, but they still could go buy small things. And they could maybe buy a studio here and there that has some game in the works, right? Like Housemarque, right? They could just buy that and I'm sure that wasn't that expensive, and now you got a game, right? So
Hargeet, I got to give you some roses. You're the only one, well, from all the podcasts around our community, you're the only one that has pointed that out, that Sony may not be able to make a big purchase of a Japanese company, which, guys, I'm going to be real with you. It's the only explanation why Square has not been purchased by Sony yet. It makes no sense.
It does.
It makes absolutely no sense.
I would put
It is-
another
it is
wrinkle on the
called
Square thing, but
JFTC for a reason. I'm just saying.
Yeah. You're right. But I put another wrinkle on Square is that I don't think their mindsets align. If it was not Jim Ryan, if it was somebody else like Sean Layden or something like that, I would say, yeah, they would do that, right? Because Sean's about games, but that's not what Jim Ryan's about. Jim Ryan's about financial results.
Yes.
And Square Enix has not been delivering financial results. And so they would turn them into the Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy, publisher, which I don't think is what Square wants. So there'll be no more Octopaths or Triangle Strategies or anything like that, right? And I don't know if that's something. Again, this is just me reading the tea leaves. I don't think Jim would go with that. He would want to make a game.
Foam Stars might be their test. It might be their test.
It could very well be, right? If this actually works as a game as a service thing. Now, good, they have a very big game as a service, which is Final Fantasy 14, right? And that's continuing to keep them alive, which is good.
Yes.
But they do need to continuously put out games that make money. As we know, Jim Ryan will shut you down. This is what he does. He does not care. He will shut you down, right? So you have to return results, right? So I don't know if Square, look, if I was Square, I would want Microsoft, which is why they were in talks, because Game Pass eliminates that problem, right? You just say, I'm putting my game on Game Pass. I'm fully funded. I don't care. I don't have to worry about if it sells enough because engagement will be there. People will pick it up and play it. And that's all that matters to me. So, right, then that marriage is way better for Square, from my eyes anyways, than Sony. So I don't know. Like, again, these are all weird things that could happen. They could just result by just because Activision happened, they want to just buy somebody else. But again, I don't know that JFTC is going to allow it. They have to get through the hurdle of saying, yes, you're 98%, but we don't care if you're a monopoly. Like, okay, I don't see how that works, but okay.
And then explain to the American FTC how they justify that. After
it wouldn't even be the American FTC. It would be, is it the Chamber of Commerce?
All the other regulatory bodies. Yes.
It's whoever does our trade agreements, right? And that's where it is. And that part makes it much more interesting. It's now politics. So when the American government is talking to the Japan government, yeah, you can, like Hogue would say, you cannot account for crazy. You don't know what happens when those things happen. There's no way Japan wants to in any way jeopardize that U.S. trade relationship. And if it means sacrifice Sony, they will do it. They don't care about that. That's a small little piddly company for them compared to all of Japan's global reach based on having an American trade partnership. Yeah, they're not going to jeopardize that. That's just not going to happen, right? And it's clear. 98%. You can't deny numbers. They are what they are, right? So what do you do, right? So, but either way, as far as back to the actual topic, which is what do they have coming? I don't know. I think 2024 they'll have MLB, and then maybe they do have a money hat deal. Maybe Fair Games comes out. They have that Helldivers second party thing going on. Maybe that comes out, right? So they have those kind of games. Concord. Again, I don't know when. They didn't have any date, not that I'm aware of, right? So maybe that's something that comes out late next year or comes out the year after, right? But that's kind of where they are, right? And the big question is those are both multiplayer games. They're not the normal single player campaigns that most of the PlayStation fans would want. Is that going to resonate? Hopefully it does, right? I'd hope those studios don't get looked over, right, by the PlayStation fans. They'll at least put it on PC. Maybe they'll get some traction there. But those games hopefully turn out to be good. I don't know. Helldivers is pretty good, the first one. So Helldivers 2 hopefully will be. But I don't know if Fair Games looks kind of meh to me. So I hope it has a better showing. But that could be a game that comes out next year. But that's kind of where it is. The other studios, they're all kind of tied up for a while.
What a missed opportunity, Hargeet. Fair Games, it should have been called Reindeer Games and set with a Christmas. No, seriously, I think that would have been a lot better.
There might have been a lawsuit with actual reindeer games. You know what, John? Listen, let's get your hot take on this. What are you expecting from Sony next year? And again, we're going based on their Q1 report that was published. Right. It doesn't even speculate. It says that they have first-party games that are going to see significant delays. We don't know what those first-party games are, but again, if you go by the way Hargeet broke it down, and it was perfect, a lot of the studios just finished releasing something, which means that they're not going to have anything ready for a couple of years. And we did hear Matt Booty and many of the other publishers and developers saying that the cycle for games has increased from 3 to 4 to now 5 to 6 years. These games are getting bigger. They're costing more. They're taking more time.
Right.
With that said, they have a sparse 2023. They could very well have a sparse 2024. Where are the articles? Where are the fans saying, what is going on with my PlayStation? Because again, it's great. And I'm the first rah-rah guy for Sony. I buy all their first-party games because I really like them. I like single-player, story-driven, content-based titles. But it's been Spider-Man, God of War, and Horizon. I remember a certain rhetoric that went through Forza, Gears, Halo, right? So now we're getting into the same kind of a pattern. Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 is going to be dope. Let's call a spade, but it is Insomniac's third Spider-Man in 5 years, right? God of War, amazing. Are we getting one next year or the year after? Are they going? Is it going to? I don't know. When is the next Horizon? Supposedly they're working on a multiplayer gas game version of Horizon. Is that what people want? Probably not. Why aren't their gamers asking the questions that they have always asked of Xbox?
Yeah, spoiler alert, they're not, and it's because they have, as we all know, we know the reasons why. I asked earlier on the show, why aren't people championing, Xbox and their backwards compatibility? It's because that's not the cool thing to do. And unfortunately, that's just the way that the media is gonna be. They're gonna cover the deficiencies of the market leader of their preferred console, and it is what it is, right? That's the world we live in. But I've been on PlayStation the whole night, and I've been joking around and stuff like that, which I hope that no one in the chat takes us serious. We're just joking around. I own a PS5.
Jokes,
it's just jokes. I mean, don't be so salty. All right. When they buy Square, you can be salty. All right. So the thing is that what I'll say is this: PlayStation, they've played the game and they've played it right. Okay. This whole time, which is what makes them so successful. With all of the slander that they're receiving, everyone here has given them their praise, because we all recognize that they are the market leader, and we recognize that what they do well. But let's call a spade, and let's just speak facts here. While Xbox was lacking in their first party offerings, that's a byproduct of Xbox making acquisitions and staying true to their contracts and not buying out contracts, because they could have easily made a bunch of those games exclusive to them. They could have broken contracts and they could have said, hey, you remember this game that was going to come out on PlayStation? Now we axed that. Anybody remember Stellar Blade? Well, Stellar Blade was coming to Xbox, and all of a sudden it's not, right? So let's call a spade. If Xbox wanted to play the same game that PlayStation was playing, they could play it. But of course, we all know it's not in their best interest to do that, especially with the ABK deal. They needed to play the good guy. We all know that these companies are no one's friends. We have our preferences, but we just like to call things for what they are, right? So that's what I'm going to do. Spider-Man Miles Morales is a glorified DLC. I love the game. I beat it. Fantastic launch title for the PS5. Sony was very, very smart in releasing that DLC as a PS5 exclusive launch title. That's smart of them to do so. But I will call that DLC because that's what it was. And we have to be real. So God of War Ragnarok, another game that was supposed to originally be DLC, but they expanded upon it, so they released it as a full-fledged title. Again, another smart strategic move by the masterminds at Sony, but let's call it for what it is. It really is a PS4 cross-gen game. So it's not, and even Ratchet and Clank, besides the SSD fiasco, which got proven a few weeks ago that you don't need an SSD to play the game, okay? That is nothing but Ratchet and Clank from the PS4 with this new, teleportation ability, in the game that's in like 2 or 3 segments of the game. So again, giving credit while also giving a backhand slap to Sony. Their games are fantastic, but they've been bringing out cross-gen games utilizing reutilizing assets, which is very strategic of them. Maybe they recognize, that during the pandemic and during the transition, they were going to need to release titles, which is why they started working on Last of Us remake, another smart cash grab. Boom, there you go. But I get what you're saying, Boom, and it's a great conversation piece. Why isn't anybody calling this stuff out? Because again, we're here and we know the answer. I know the answer. I'm just asking the question. Where are the articles saying, hey, Xbox, you had a crappy 2022. It looks like this year is PlayStation's time. Okay, what do you mean we got a game canceled? What game was that? Where is the article saying, oh, we've asked Jim Ryan for comment? What was your game that you guys had to push back? We don't hear anything. Crickets. Okay, it's because yes, the PlayStation Nation will come out and tell you, well, John, you know what? We had Final Fantasy release on our console first. Well, congratulations. That's another smart move by Sony. They third party deals. That's the way that they've been able to do it. Why do you think that now Xbox has had no choice but to make acquisitions for themselves? Because they're getting foreclosed on. Okay, that's a form of foreclosure, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, by locking games away. Okay, so we want to talk here about, consolidation is a bad thing, this and that you'll hear across, different shows. That's a form of consolidation because you're foreclosing on another company, whether it's a year, 2 years, or whatever the case may be. So to circle back, I think that giving PlayStation their credit, they're where they are because, and they've sold 40 million consoles because they're just good at this game. They're very good at it, and they're the best at it. Okay, and the thing is though that just because I can admit that, I can also look at the facts and speak on them, which is exactly what I'm doing. And the fact of the matter is, PlayStation has been smart. They haven't been releasing true next gen titles. They haven't. Okay. And now that they are going to be releasing these next gen titles, guess what? This is more time consuming. Now we're starting to see some of the same pain points that Xbox has had to go through. Now the ugliness is showing itself. So it's just a byproduct, guys. And again, don't let our jokingness and our snarkiness, think that that our mind is objective, not objective or anything. We understand what's going on, and we give credit to PlayStation. They get my money every single time that they release one of their first party titles. They get my money. In fact, they get it twice because then I get it on PC. So I recognize greatness, but at the same time, let's call out the BS, guys. Let's not be scared to ask Jim. Hey Jim, why are you allowing Bungie to come into Naughty Dog's house, that's probably your top developer, and tell them that Factions 2 ain't good enough? Like, what's going on here? If I was on the PlayStation camp, I would be asking that question. I would be like, hey, wait a minute, Bungie compared to Naughty Dog, are we sure that we want to trust Bungie here when it comes to the game that we want to release in our vision? When we've been successful with Last of Us, when we've had titles that are renowned for game changers, are we really gonna let Bungie come in and just wipe away what we've done? That's a little weird. I think that's a little weird. So
throw them bars, brother. Throw them bars, bro.
To me, that's a little strange, and it just goes to show you that PlayStation's success is slowly becoming their Achilles heel. Their success is catching up to them because they have pressure from so many different avenues coming in that to me, this generation, they're all over the place. Okay, Jim is throwing 60% of the wallet at gas games, hoping that one of them sticks because Microsoft took away his favorite toy, Call of Duty. They took that away. Okay, so and what I mean by they took away is that they took away the leverage. They didn't take it away. But you know what I mean. So they took away that leverage, and then now 60% of the games for PlayStation Nation. I'm sorry, guys, but I have to laugh at this. out of 10 games, 6 are going to be gas for you. It's over. Your reign is over because your first party over the shoulder, I need an arrow and a sad dad in, you're not going to get those games anymore. You're only going to get 4 of those. When they're making 10, you're only going to get 4. So it's done. This is Jim Ryan's PlayStation. Learn to love it,
dude. Yeah.
I mean, the best-selling games on PlayStation are going to be Xbox, right? They're going to be Minecraft and Call of Duty,
which is crazy.
It's just awesome.
Like you know what would be scandalous? They would never admit this, but could you imagine Nicola that the acquisition of Square doesn't happen soon because they have to wait a bit. But could you imagine like profits of Call of Duty actually helps pay for Square? Like,
actually, you say that, Boom. Activision has $4 billion in cash. So that $4 billion transfers to Phil Spencer the second they sign that deal.
Yeah,
so he has $4 billion cash to go buy whatever he wants.
And Square Enix is about 5.1 market cap, I think, somewhere around there.
Oh, it's below that now.
Did you guys see the announcement of the PS Plus titles coming today?
No.
Well, they got some good stuff coming on PS Plus, and you can thank Game Pass for that. You can thank competition for that, which is why it's so important that these companies are fighting for our dollars. That's all. Yes. That's all we've been trying to preach all along, guys. Fight for our dollars. That's all we want.
Well, listen, the competition breeds better competition. That's for sure. Listen, let me catch up in these super chats, and then we're going to get everyone out of here. We had over 500 people here today. A lot of new faces, which is awesome. If you're finding the channel for the first time, we are on the hunt for 14K for Double Barrel Gaming. Please consider subscribing. And of course, while you're still here, folks, hit the like button. Crispy had to bounce out of here. No worries about that. Crispy actually joined us surprisingly enough because we had a bunch of the other panel members that have other things going on. So shout out to Crispy Bomb for being a part of this. We have a crippling debt drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, as an Xbox player, why would I want to play any Square games? The past has proven there's a good chance I can't play the next game. I can't trust them. And you're not wrong for that. You are definitely not wrong for that. On the bright side, drops a very generous. Oh, here's Crispy. He came back. On the bright side, drops a $5 super chat. Thank you for the generosity. And thanks so much for being here. Just logged in. Did you mention Xbox's channel is starting to market Modern Warfare 3 today? I didn't check Sony's channel. Can you smell Modern Warfare 3 on Game Pass in November? I still am going to subscribe to that. I said that a couple of times already. I could be incredibly wrong, but and again, I don't know business contracts, but if the new 10-year deal that Jim Ryan and SIE signed starts immediately after the ABK deal is signed, that would negate the old contract and marketing rights for Call of Duty, which of course in turn would give control over to Xbox. And I would imagine they'd be able to put it into Xbox Game Pass, but we don't know when that contract starts. Does it start after their current contract that ends after this year and they have the marketing this year? I don't know, but we will certainly find out soon enough. Let's get to the outros. We'll start first with John Wolf. Brother, sell your brand. Talk about the show you have on Monday evenings with Kay Asante, where you guys dive into a lot of the tech that comes behind these consoles, and specifically handheld PCs like the ROG Ally, like the Steam Deck, and of course, PCMR always gets mentioned there. And where could people reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, thanks, Boom. Thanks for the invite. It was a lot of fun tonight, guys. Hargeed, Crispy, and of course Kay and Boom. You guys are the best, man. Honestly. So
thank you so much.
So yeah, you can follow me on X/Twitter/Elon's Fan Wet Dream thing. I don't know what he's gonna call it next. So follow me on X, roasting, usually a lot of trolling and stuff like that, just for the fun of it, guys. And again, it's just fun, guys. We don't, I don't take this stuff seriously, and follow me also on Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, if you guys ever want to play. And me and Kay Asante, yes, Boom, we did start a show about almost 7 weeks ago. We're about 7 shows in, and it's been great, man. I love talking to Kay about tech. I always pick his brain about PC and little projects that we do. And that show, you can find a more slander on there and stuff like that, but always in a fun way, jokey stuff like that. And just pass by, guys. Mondays 7 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week and be safe.
Yes, thanks so much for joining us. Real quick, Jax82 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says Sony also released DLC for Horizon Forbidden West on the PlayStation 5 only, not the PlayStation 4, but they believe in generations. Indeed, they do. They obviously care about generations. Sure. Hargeet Chani, sell the brand of Game On Daily. Obviously, Gaz has been doing what Gaz does, and he's been rebel rousing, and he's been getting blocked and taking pictures of it and putting it on the socials. And listen, we love Gaz. He is phenomenal. And what he does, he is a professional rebel rouser. And of course, Asa, talk about it. Sell the brand. More importantly, where can people not find you on social media, but if they wanted to reach out to you on Xbox or, of course, Discord?
Discord, yeah. So GameOnDaily.com and then YouTube.com/GameOnDaily. Check that out. And Gaz has his own thing going as well for all the ridiculous sauce in his channel.
Sauce
Septic
left,
sauce.
right, and center.
Yes, Septic Sauce. So check that out on YouTube as well. And then so RDX as well every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and that's on Dealer Gaming's channel. And then right here, Primetime Gaming on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. And then and I am not on any social media. However, I'm on Discord, and H Chani is my username there, or tag, or whatever you want to call it there. And then H Chani is my gamer tag on Xbox as well, if you want to check me out over there. And we'll get that sauce video out soonish. Hopefully,
I know he's still working on it. It's going to be a big one. It's probably one of the biggest ones he's ever worked on, I think.
Yeah, it's got multiple things in it. Yeah, we'll get it out.
I'm here for it. I cannot wait for it. So thanks so much for being here. And of course, thank you for donating the codes as you always do. Definitely appreciate that. Crispy Bomb, thank you again for joining us, dude. Like I didn't expect you to be here, but you swooped in like a superhero. And of course, again, we just happen to be talking salty shenanigans. And look, you showed up. Where could people reach out to you and potentially get your hot take opinions on social media?
Keep it spicy, my friend. All right. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Ready? At Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28, Xbox Live. You can find me on Breakfast with Boom, Friday mornings, 10 a.m. Gaming Beyond the Box.
Yes, talk about that. You just became a panel member with Wilmy
panel member, and I've rejected him once before, and that was not on purpose. It was because I was on way too many podcasts.
Yeah.
You will also find me wherever I need to be at a certain point in time. Like this today. I'm just saying. But seriously, shout out to the chat. Shout out to you guys. I mean, great conversation. I mean, John Wolf, well, at least you made me realize why I said replace me way back when. I'm just saying. But in all seriousness, let's be gamers. I mean, if you got the console and that's all you got, you better call them out once in a while. I'm just saying, hey, y'all are doing some crazy stuff and I don't like it. Other than that, I hate the Defenders. You like the Marvel Defenders, but you really don't like the
They're
Defenders.
called missionary gamers, sir, in our circles.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Right,
they only know one
messy.
thing. They only know one thing,
you're getting
sir.
too messy for myself. But seriously, thank you all to the chat and everybody else. And game on, my friends.
Indeed. And last and no least, our good friend, Kay Asante, who's going to... I'm glad you were here today, brother. You were able to kind of unplug from work, which has been beating you over the head the last couple of weeks. obviously you had a great show on Monday, and you're going to have another even greater show this Saturday on the Gaming Circle podcast. I don't know who your co-host is going to be because, at this point, he's going to be on vacation, meaning Everborn Saga. But please sell your brand. Tell people where they can find one of the best Saturday morning shows on YouTube each and every week.
Well, thank you. Now, that is too kind. There are so many amazing shows on Saturday mornings. But yes, we count ourselves among them. The Gaming Circle podcast, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As you mentioned, my slanderous co-host will be on vacation this weekend, but I have a guest co-host in the form of another great community member that was in the chat today. Straight from Ireland, Ty Talks will be
Amazing.
with me.
That's great.
Saturday.
I love Ty. Yeah, that's excellent.
And we're
That's
gonna have some great conversations, So we'll see what we get up to. I'm talking games. I got a chance to play some games, which is a rarity in our circles, believe it or not. Between work and the podcast, games are our reward, believe it or not. So I got some rewards this week. Got to play a bit of The Expanse. There's a new episode coming tomorrow. I really love that game.
Telltale
really,
games, brother. Talk about it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Like if you love The Expanse, if The Expanse was your show, like you're very happy right now because much like The Matrix, when it was over and you needed a different medium for it to continue, this is the medium where The Expanse can continue, and they're doing it perfectly. So I'll speak more about it on Saturday, but yeah, come check us out. Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be talking more about The Expanse and a few other things. They're playing some games, and of course, if and when ABK spills over, I was
just gonna say, you mean the ABK isn't gonna be the thing that overrides everything?
We're gonna get a phone call from freaking the Dominican Republic from a slanderous indivividual. Yes. It's gonna be like, what happened? We'll see how that goes.
and so, folks, FYI, that information the CMA's decision should be coming down this week. So we'll see. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday.
We shall see.
We'll see.
We shall see. No, it's super fun. Having great chats with the community and all that. And thank you guys so much for coming out as you do. And we'll see you guys next week. It's been awesome.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, a real big thank you to over 500 people that tuned in. Obviously, this is still vacation time. People are still traveling, and we have over 500 people here on a Wednesday evening. I cannot thank you enough. That is incredibly kind of you to tune in each and every week as you do. And of course, speaking of kind, thank you for the amazing super chats and channel membership support that we continue to get here on Double Barrel Gaming. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends.